Page 37. The beer midas has rizus. The virtue of alacrity. 37. Acha zehirus, yova rizus. That's an expression, haste makes waste. But if you establish yourself that you're vigilant and you're careful, and you know exactly what is and what's not, and you have a sensitivity to what's right and not. Now the question is, how quickly do you address it? We're not saying you do it quickly, but you approach it without delay. The expression, don't tarry. Midas as rizus is not doing the mitzvah biz rizus. Mitzvah bod liot al tach mitzeno, right? Don't delay. Acha zehirus yovas rizus ki zehirus soviv ala lo saseh. When you say be careful, be vigilant, that's the don't do. Has rizus ala say. Rizus, alacrity, zeal is to overcome the inertia. Vaidu sume rav asei tov, David says. Remove yourself from evil and do good. So losas is ra, and tov is the asei. Vinyonu shal rizus mevor, shu hagdomo lemitzis la shlomis inyonim. Is the whole concept of alacrity, but zeal, it's the prerequisite to a mitzvah, and it brings it to completion. Hashlomis inyonim. Uchloshen hazeh omru huzichrein levrocho zrizim akdim in the mitzvos. Those who do things with zeal, he says they fulfilled mitzvahs promptly. Magdim the mitzvahs. No, the Gemara over there speaks about a person who's a chover. Chover is a certain person, a certain qualification. A person who's careful, in rabbinical laws are careful in many things. And there was a barrel of fruit which initially was untithed, and he passed away. Are you permitted to eat of the fruit to presume that he tithed it the moment it came into his domain, after he purchased it? Or do we say maybe didn't? Right, so the more it says there's a chazaka, there's a presumption that this classification of person doesn't leave anything, even for a moment, untithed, because there's a chance somebody may actually eat of it, which is tevel, which is untithed. So therefore, there's a chazaka that the chaver has to do with the bedikas chomitz. Person is a chaver, and the question is, and now you rent a location from him, or you come to that location. Is there presumption that it was checked properly or not? And it's already the 14th. He moved in on the 14th. So by the 14th, there was an obligation on the owner of the location, on the proprietor, to check it out, to check. So there's a presumption he did it. Maybe delayed. This kind of person doesn't delay. There's a reason magdim the mitzvahs. V'zeki k'moshe tzorach pikchus godel v'ashkofa rabli notz l'mokshe yetz l'moto min hara. As one needs his great incisiveness and foresight to escape from the traps of the inclination and to extricate yourself from evil, that it should not dominate us, to intermingle with our actions. When we do, you need a tremendous degree of incisiveness and foresight to take hold of the mitzvah, to merit to do them. That we shouldn't lose it. If people go after mitzvahs the way they go after deals, Jews would look differently. The Sayyid Rosh Hashanah speaks about a case. A person has an inspiration to study. You have to act on it immediately, because the moment you allow anything to interrupt that, you've lost the inspiration, and you're not going to do it. A person that feels he would like to study something, and he's about, all of a sudden he gets a phone call. When he's off the phone, and he didn't start studying, he's off the phone, he's not going necessarily, probably he's not going back to study, because that inspiration to do the mitzvah already was what was diffused, was interrupted.
It applies to everything, not just mitzvah.
That depends how important it is, but it depends how important it is, right? Something which you have to address, you address. You're in the middle of doing something, get off the phone unless you forget. You get right back to it. But something that's based on your feeling, your inspiration, that's why you're doing it. Once you lose that inspiration, you're not going back there. Look, a Jew always puts on tefillin. He's going to put on tefillin, right? And he knows he can put on tefillin for the day, unless he forgets. He's going to put on the tefillin. But something which he doesn't have that sense of, obligation. In other words, obligation. It's not the end of the world. You know, I'll say Kriya Shema later, right? That's why people, you know, they pass on it. They forget it.
How about if you're in the middle of studying and a phone call comes, and then you don't study anymore?
כי כמו שמסב משתדל ליצור בתחבולוס להפיל לאודם ממחמורות החטא, just as the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, causes one to stumble and be trapped in his trappings of sin, identically, he tries to prevent the person from doing the mitzvah, and the person should forfeit them. The Chofetz Chaim speaks about a situation. Shmir Soloshin said initially, the Yitzhak tries to convince you, you know, if you assume this mode of behavior, there's no way you could be sociable. Because what do people speak about? So after you're convinced that you can work it out somehow, so then he makes the situation so extreme for the person that it's like it becomes so overburdening that it becomes too much. I'll give you an example. The Chofetz Chaim himself, it was known that at 11 o'clock at night he would insist that the students should go to sleep. He wanted lights out. Why? Because when he was a youngster, he was thinking bar mitzvah, Chofetz Chaim had a photographic memory. And he studied day and night. He didn't sleep very much, and to a point where actually he became not well. Emotionally, mentally not well from it. Doctor said he has to take a year off just to relax. Can't study at all. So he says, this is, we say in Birchas Kriya Shema, remove the sudden before us and from behind us. So he says, before us we understand. He creates all kinds of pitfalls for us. What's behind? He pushes you. You haven't studied enough, and you haven't studied enough, to the point where you overdo it, and when you overdo it, then eventually there's a breakdown. That's what happens.
So did you take the year off?
But he took the year off, but he understood that everything has to be within moderation, within normalcy.
You said it when you had the issue in the house, so do 11 o'clock.
I'm telling you why, because it is from his personal experience. Yep. The Chazon Ish had a similar situation also. Okay, let's see the Gemara.
Very little.
They slept as much as they needed to.
Yeah.
But they slept as much as they needed to. It was sufficient for them. Okay.